Aries. There are people out there right now, people who know you, people who are in your life, people who thought they had you completely figured out, and they are sitting somewhere in tears. Not sad tears, not angry tears. The kind of tears that come when something inside you breaks open because you finally see the truth and you realize you were wrong about everything. They are in tears because they just discovered something about you that they should have known from the beginning, that you are not who they thought you were. That the person they dismissed, the person they talked about behind their back, the person they tried to bring down or dim or squeeze into something smaller, that person was operating on a frequency so high, so ancient, so powerful, that their mind literally could not process it. And now it's hurting them all at once, like a wall. Your light was too much for them, not because you did anything wrong, because you were too real, too deep, too undeniably you, and that shattered them. And today I'm going to tell you exactly what they are realizing, why it's happening right now, and what it means for you, for who you actually are. So let me start with something that's going to feel really specific, and I want you to just sit with it for a second. Think about the people who came into your life and then tried to rewrite the story of who you were. Maybe it was someone who called you too sensitive, too much, too intense. Maybe it was a group of people who believed something that wasn't true about you, who heard a narrative, a version of events shaped by someone with an agenda, and they just went with it. They didn't question it, they just believed it. And for a while, maybe a long while, you were standing in the middle of all of that, just trying to hold yourself together, trying to stay calm, trying to not to lose yourself or in all the noise. And here's the thing that's important. You didn't lose yourself. You didn't collapse. You didn't spiral. You just kept moving quietly, steadily with this kind of deep, unshakable calm that honestly probably confused the hell out of people because they expected you to crack. They were waiting for it and it never came. That quiet, that calm, that wasn't just emotional stability. That was something else entirely. That was the signal. That was the proof of something those people around you were not even equipped to understand. Your soul isn't just an observer eye in this story. It's an anchor for a frequency this world has almost completely forgotten. And when you carry that frequency, everything around you eventually has to respond to it. Everything, including the people who tried to ignore it. Here is what's happening right now in the lives of people who doubted you, who dismissed you, who maybe even actively worked against you. They are replaying moments. They are going back through old conversations in their heads, old stories they were told, old accusations that were made, and they are sitting there. And something isn't adding up anymore. They are noticing the holes. They are noticing the inconsistencies. And more than that, they are noticing something about your energy, your actual energy, the way you carried yourself through all of it. And they are realizing it never matched the story they were told. They were sold, actually. Think about what it looks like to watch someone go through hell and come out the other side, not broken, not bitter, not desperate for revenge. It's actually kind of stunning to witness. And the people in your life, the ones who believed, who maybe believed the wrong thing for a minute, for a while, the ones who listened to the gossip, the ones who chose the other side, they are seeing that now. They are watching you move through your life with this quiet, unshakable clarity. And they are starting to ask themselves a question they can't get out of their heads. If everything that was said about this person was true, why does their energy feel like that? Because your energy doesn't lie. And that's the thing about operating at the level you operate at. Your frequency is too consistent, too deep, too real to fake. You can't maintain a performance at this level. And What people are seeing in you right now is not a carefully crafted image. It's just you, and that's what's breaking them open. Here's what I need you to understand about the person or people who tried to take you down. This isn't just jealousy, though jealousy is definitely part of it. This is something more fundamental than that. When someone encounters a soul operating at your frequency, it triggers something in them, something old, something primal. Because your light, your actual presence, your clarity, your depth holds up a mirror, and when someone isn't living in alignment with their own truth, when someone has built their entire sense of self around control and performance and manipulation, and then they encounter someone who just is, without any of that machinery, it's destabilizing. It's destabilizing at a cellular level. You were not doing anything to them. You were just being you. And that was enough to completely unravel them, They mistake your silence for weakness. That's the part that's almost funny, except it's not. Because while they were interpreting your quiet as defeat, you were listening to a broadcast they couldn't even begin to tune into. You were receiving information at a level they didn't have access to. Your stillness wasn't absence, it was reception. And the entire time they were out there talking, performing, scheming, trying to manage everyone's perception, you were just deepening, going further in, going clearer. And that gap between where you were going and where they were stuck, that gap has now become impossible to ignore. That's why the obsession never stopped. That's why they couldn't let it go. That's why even after you walked away, even after you completely detached and went back to living your life, they were still watching, still monitoring, still trying to understand, because you represent something they don't know how to access. And they can't figure out how to get what you have by tearing you down, even though they have been trying. Stop trying to fit your ocean into their teacups. That's what was actually happening. They kept trying to compress you into something they could understand, something they could manage, and you just kept being too vast, too layered, too undeniable. And now, right now, in this current season of your life, the people around them are starting to notice. Because when you are genuinely obsessed with someone the way this person has been obsessed with you, it eventually starts to leak. It starts to show. The energy gets erratic, the stories stop holding together, and the people who maybe are listening to the narrative about you, maybe even believing in a little, they are starting to look at the person who was telling it, and they are thinking, wait, if you supposedly have every reason to move on, why haven't you moved on? Why are you still watching them? Why is their name still in your mouth? And the answer, when it finally lands, is both simple and shattering. Because this person who was trying to destroy your reputation is the one who got destroyed. Not by you. Not by you. I want to repeat that. Not by you. You didn't do anything. By their own obsession, by their own inability to release someone who clearly moved on. By the way, the truth keeps rising to the surface, no matter how many times they try to bury it. Here is something I want you to really feel right now. There are people who knew you, people who were around you during one of the harder chapters of your life, who are sitting somewhere feeling genuine guilt. Not just mild discomfort, real guilt. Because they think back to moments where you were trying to let them something, to tell them something, to let them do something. Moments where your intuition was loud, where you were pointing at something real and they dismissed it. Maybe they thought you were being dramatic. Maybe they thought you were seeing things that were not there. Maybe they just chose the easiest path, which was believing the story that was already being told. And now they are sitting with the weight of that. They are replaying those moments and thinking, they were trying to tell us they were right and we didn't listen. Some of these people will never come to tell to you directly and say it. They are too ashamed. They are really ashamed of that. The gap between what they believed and what turned out to be true is too wide to cross with a simple apology. But on some level, energetically, internally, in the quiet moments before they fall asleep, especially, they know. They know what they did. They know what they failed to do. And that's a weight they are carrying right now. That's weight. And you don't have to do anything with that. You don't have to reach for it. You don't have to need their acknowledgement because you already know what you know. Let me tell you about your light. I want to tell you about your light, what it actually is and why it had the effect it had. Imagine a frequency, not a metaphor, an actual frequency, the kind that travels, not through air, but through people. The kind that when it enters a room, changes the temperature, not the air temperature, the emotional temperature, the clarity, the realness. That's what you carry. And most people go their entire lives never encountering that frequency at such a concentrated level. So when they encounter you, something happens, something automatic, something that has nothing to do with what you are saying or doing. Just your presence alone creates a response in people. Your presence alone is a quiet revolution in a room full of noise. You don't have to announce yourself. You don't have to perform. You just walk in and something shifts and people feel it before they can name it. In some people, that response is attraction, like being pulled toward a warmth they didn't even know they were missing. But in people who are operating from a place of fear, from ego, from the need to control, that same frequency triggers a completely different response. Threat, destabilization. They need to dim it because your light, by just existing, makes their darkness harder to hide. You didn't set out to expose anyone. You set out to just be yourself, and being fully, unapologetically, and deeply yourself, that was enough. That was enough to shatter someone who built their entire world on the opposite of that. The challenges you faced throughout all of this were not roadblocks. I need you to hear that clearly. They were not signs that something was wrong with you or that you were somehow losing. They were the friction required to polish something of your magnitude into what's becoming right now. Diamonds don't come out of the ground already be brilliant. They get there throughout pressure, through time, through a process that looks from the outside like destruction. What looked like the hardest period of your life was actually the manufacturing process. And what's being revealed now, this clarity, this undeniable realness, that's the finished product. That's what the pressure was for. Now, I want to talk about something that's happening with you specifically in this season, because there is a shift occurring. Something is settling. Something is becoming more visible. Not just to the person, to the people around you, but to you yourself. You are starting to see with a clarity you maybe didn't have before, just how protected you've been throughout everything. Think about all the moments that could have broken you. All the moments where the pressure was high enough and the betrayal was deep enough and the isolation was real enough that most people would have made some choice that unraveled them. But you didn't. You stayed, you held your center, you healed. And now you're looking back at all of that and starting to understand that your stability through those storms wasn't just resilience. There was something operating through you, something that knew which direction to move you, something that kept clearing paths, kept choosing wrong doors, kept steering you back toward yourself, even when everything outside you was trying to convince you that you were the problem. You were not the problem. You were never the problem. Never. Your silence, the silence you kept, the way you didn't run around trying to defend yourself to anyone, didn't try to convince people of your worth, didn't stoop to the level of the chaos being directed at you. That silence spoke at a volume that words couldn't reach. And it's that silence, and more than that, more than anything else, that is currently doing something remarkable in the people who doubted you. It's making them rethink everything. Because a person who did what you were accused of doing doesn't move like you moved, doesn't stay calm the way you stayed calm, doesn't focus on their own growth the way you focused on your own growth. And on some level, even the people who wanted to believe the worst version of you, they couldn't feel that dissonance. They could feel that dissonance, actually. They just were not ready to look at it yet. They were looking at you now, and they see that you didn't lose those people who walked out during your hardest season, by the way. I want you to sit with this. You didn't lose them. The stage simply got cleared. That's exactly what happened. The people who are real enough, deep enough, loyal enough to stand beside someone of your caliber, they got cleared out. So the space would be open so the right people could actually find you. Because the energy you carry, the frequency you operate at, it requires a certain kind of a company. And the universe isn't going to let you stay surrounded by people who cannot hold that level. So it clears, and the clearing hurts, in the moments. But look at what's left after. Look at who's still here. There is something that happens when a person of your depth gets underestimated, gets dismissed, gets pushed to the margins by people who thought they understood you. You move from that people, not always in ways that are visible. You move internally, you deepen. You go further into yourself, further into your gifts, further into whatever it is that you are actually here to do. And that deepening, that process of going inward while everything outside is trying to define or limit you, that's exactly what creates the kind of person you are becoming right now. Someone whose foundation is so deep that the surface noise cannot move it. Someone who has been through enough that nothing seems as scary as it used to. Someone who knows, not from theory, but from actual lived experience, that they are okay, that they will be okay, that something is working on their behalf, even in the moments when it doesn't look like it. You are a master architect who has been walking through a building still in its blueprint phase. That's what nobody around you could understand. While they were looking at the mess of what seemed like a chaotic, difficult period of your life, you were seeing the finished structure. You could see the cathedral while everyone else just saw the scaffolding. That's not a small thing. That's the kind of perception that most people never access. And it's been there in you the whole time, this ability to see the larger shape of things, to trust a process that hasn't revealed itself yet, to stay steady inside a version that nobody else could fully see. And the people who doubted you, they can feel the solidity of where you are right now compared to the chaos of where they are. And it's doing something to them that they don't quite have the language for. It's making them grieve, not you. You're fine. You're more than fine. They are grieving the version of events they told themselves, because that version requires you to be small, broken, and you are not. You are none of those things. And the real you, the one that's undeniably present, undeniably clear, undeniably moving forward, makes the story they believed impossible to hold on to anymore. Here is something real I need and I want you to understand about who you actually are. You carry a lineage in you that requires that requires no external validation to be real, no one's approval, no one's acknowledgement, no one's apology. The truth of what you are has been operating, that you are operating quietly this entire time, not needing to announce itself, not needing to anyone to recognize it. And it's been doing its work anyway. It's been changing things. It's been moving things. It's been protecting you in ways you're only now beginning to fully see. Hold your light close like a secret map to a treasure everyone is looking for, but only you have found. That's not arrogance. That's just the reality of what it means to be operating on a frequency you operate at. Not anyone gets access to this. Not anyone is built for this depth, but you are. You always were. Think about this. Every attempt to tarnish you, every piece of gossip, every narrative, none of it landed the way they planned, because the energy behind your truth is just too consistent. You can't smear something that keeps showing up clean and calm and real, no matter what's thrown at it. And the people who tried, they are starting to see the fatality of it, not just in terms of strategy, but in terms of what it's done to them. The obsession, the monitoring, the need to stay involved in your energy, it's eating them alive. While you've been living, healing, growing, moving forward, they've been trapped in a loop that revolves entire around you. And there is nothing sadder, genuinely nothing sadder, than watching someone waste the only life they have on trying to stop someone who simply cannot be stopped. Because here is what you actually are. You are the blue whale in a sea of goldfish. You move in the deep, silent, and steady, carrying something enormous inside you, a heart, a knowing, a frequency that travels across distances most people cannot even imagine. While everyone else is splashing at the surface, desperate for attention, desperate to be seen and validated and applauded, you hold the weight of the deep without breaking. You don't need to shout. You don't need to perform. Your very existence changes the tide. That's not a metaphor. That's what's been happening this entire time. That's what those people are finally, painfully, tearfully beginning to understand. And the glitches, every difficult moment, every system failure, every relationship that crashed or collapsed or turned against you, those were not signs of your destruction. Those were signs of an override. Your whole system was upgrading, clearing out code that no longer served the version of you that was coming. And the people who were part of that, of the old system, they got cleared with it because they belonged to a version of your life that was already complete. And what's loading now, what's coming in, is operating on a completely different level. Right now, in this moment, the people who were in your corner all along are becoming more visible. The people who doubted you are stepping back, no longer willing to be associated with a narrative that is clearly falling apart. And you, my beautiful soul, you don't need to do anything with any of this. You don't need to announce it. You don't need to gloat. You don't need to reach out to anyone and say it. I told you so, even though you absolutely could, because the truth is already operating on your behalf without you having to say a single word on your behalf. Your energy is speaking at a volume no one in that situation can ignore. Your only job right now is to stay in your peace, stay in your rhythm, keep moving forward, building, creating, being fully present in your own life in a way that someone so consumed by obsession and bitterness has never been able to do. Keep going deeper, keep getting clearer, keep trusting the frequency that's been guiding you through everything you've already survived, because here is the deepest truth about all of this. The reason a group of people are in tears right now, realizing they were wrong about you, the reason the obsession never stopped, The reason your light kept showing up, no matter how many times someone tried to extinguish it, is that you are not someone who can be contained, not by a story someone tells about you, not by opinions of people who never really knew you, not by the weight of betrayal or the loneliness of being misunderstood. You move at a depth that most people never even get close to. You carry something ancient and enormous and real, and the song you are singing, the frequency you are putting out into the world just by being yourself, it travels, it reaches, it changes things in ways you will never fully see from where you are standing, because the ripple goes so much further than you know. The people who are in tears right now, let them feel it. Let them have their realization. Let the weight of what they did or did not do settle into them and do whatever work it needs to do. That's not your burden to carry. That's theirs. You've already done your part. You stayed true when it would when it have been so much easier not to. You stayed clear when everything around you was designed to create confusion. You stayed you, fully, deeply, unapologetically you, when every force in that situation was trying to make you into something smaller. And that is what makes you the highest version of what a person can actually be. Not because you're perfect, not because you never struggled, but because you went through the fire and you came out more yourself, not less. Because the pressure that was supposed to break you is actually what revealed what you are made of. And what you are made of is something that doesn't break, something that doesn't dim, something that no matter how many times someone tries to bury it, just keeps rising. You are exactly who you always knew you were. And that truth just became undeniable to anyone, to everyone.